Buenos días, good morning. Welcome to the second journey of the TIS. Let me introduce to Dolores Semeraro. She's a tourism and hospitality digital marketing specialist and international keynote speaker with 20 years of experience across Europe, Asia, and the Indian Ocean. She has worked for some of the most established global hotel companies as marketing and communication director. And also across her career, she has presented and moderated tourism destination events in Chinese, English, and Italian. Dolores is also the host of the Tourism Recovery podcast called Truth Behind Travel Podcast, Sustainability Success for Hospitality, the Key.
Buenos dias, good morning, buongiorno, 早上好. I can tell you, I don't know, 5, 6 language, maybe? Just that, though. Today, we're going to talk about sustainability. Everybody talks about sustainability, but let's be honest. Did we all fly here? Did we? Personally, I had to take 3 planes to get here from Montenegro because my flight was delayed in the first place, so I had to reschedule. So the talk of sustainability that we're going to have today for the next 20 minutes or so, I hope they have the timer somewhere. It's okay. It's not about our footprint on the environment. It's not about talking about things that makes us feel good. And we're like, yes, we did our sustainability talk. Now we can go back and feel good about ourselves and maybe come out inspired of this talk. The key that I'm going to talk to you about today is not the environment. It's the people. And we're going to see together how we get to that key. How do we turn that key? Yesterday, I listened to the other talks, the other keynotes and panels, and there was a lot of me talk. I do this, we do this. And I was thinking, what can we learn from each other during this occasion, right? During this summit. So my talk today will be informative, will be inspiring, hopefully, and will be provocative. So let's get started. The key. The key in sustainability, in hospitality, was actually identified 35 years ago. In 1987, the very first time the definition of sustainability development, as we know it today, was compiled in what we call the Brundtland Report, my pronunciation, where the definition basically said that sustainability and sustainable development is the ability of using the resources that we have today to meet our needs without compromising the ability for future generations to meet their needs on their time, with their resources. Now, this is the definition of sustainability that 35 years ago was compiled and mutually accepted by the industry, among those, the tourism industry. 35 years have gone by, and we're still here talking about sustainability in the hospitality industry, trying to discover the hot water, basically. And this, I had a bit of an overview on how many hotels really are we talking about. And only, imagine this number, the top 5 hotel organizations in the world combined, they amount at 700,023 plus hotels. Number of hotels combined, the top 5 companies, of which, this top 5, of course, the sustainability role, the chief sustainability officer, the person in charge of leading the sustainability for that hospitality organization, 4 out of 5 are ladies, which is want to, share a moment for that. But we will talk about that later. Can you imagine, without leadership in sustainability, 700,000 plus hotels alone? I mean, we're not talking about all the hotels, but just the top 5 organizations, right? Without a common definition, what would they do? Would try to interpret what sustainability could mean for their business, for the environment, for the people. And that is what we're going to talk about it today as a big threat, open interpretation. Sustainability across the hospitality industry is threatened by the open interpretation of what we all think sustainability means. We're going to talk about why travelers today are feeling overwhelmed by sustainability, by that responsibility. We're going to talk about how do we communicate upon the added value of sustainability instead of the added cost. And lastly, we're going to get to that key. We're going to turn that key, and I'm going to show you how. So don't leave. I've seen people leaving yesterday from the talks. So this is me. I'm Dolores Semeraro. I'm Italian. I've been living 25 years abroad. Just returned to Europe 4 months ago. Spent half of my life in China, the Indian Ocean, most recently Africa. And I was basically raised in the hospitality world. So that's what I live and breathe. And this talk of sustainability, I'm not a sustainability expert. I'm a communication expert. So today I'm going to share with you how can we communicate upon a subject that has been already widely greenwashed. Open interpretation. Why do I start from that? Because as a person that has been working in hospitality for 15 years nonstop, I know that back in the days, there was someone called CSR manager or CSR coordinator, corporate social responsibility executive something, that was sitting in the back of the HR office. And that little person had to come up with ideas to showcase that the company was doing something, a corporate social responsibility, okay? Fast forward 15 years, and now the same person has a very big title. Now we like to call themselves, Chief Sustainability Officer, Director, or Corporate Social Responsibility Vice President. So the title have gone bigger and bigger and bigger. The egos have gone also bigger and bigger. But then, the people who actually get the job done were left wondering, but what do we do? Okay, so let's imagine, let's go travel down back in time and think of those managers in the hotels thinking, okay, what do we do for sustainability? Oh, wow, we have to remove single-use plastic from the rooms, from the guest-facing areas. Okay, so no more straw, no more single-use amenities in the restaurants or in the room, in the bathroom. Okay, now we feel good about ourselves. Good, we've removed the plastic. And then we said, nope, not enough. Now you have to look at where do you source your products? Good, let's shop local. Okay, then we move on to let's manage the waste production, and then again supporting the local community. Do some charity with the local orphanage. We feel good about ourselves. Okay, a lot of hoteliers thought that this was what being a sustainable hotel mean. Over time, the conversation got global. And guess what? It wasn't just a B2B conversation. It was a B2C. It became a consumer conversation to the point that your digital audience that is there watching you before they become your ideal clients and therefore your guests in the hotels, they are already participating in a conversation around sustainability. So by the time they get to your hotel, they already know. So the pressure and the responsibility on the hotelier got bigger and bigger. We don't need single-use plastic, that's just so yesterday. We need to talk about the carbon emission and the footprint that we have on the planet. So reduce carbon emission, then we talk about renewable energy. In May 2022, this year, the first net zero hotel was opened in the US. I think it's part of Hilton, I believe, the Marcel. First hotel completely net zero. What does net zero mean? It means that this hotel basically offsets everything. Its entire existence is offsetted. We also have to create inclusive working culture. Now, that was a big question mark for a lot of people in the hospitality industry. What does that mean? It was very confusing. And then the managers that were in charge of the sustainability activities, they had to go a little bit further, one step further, and really look into science. So you see how these expectations on the hospitality industry changed. The conversation became global. It's not just about what the industry thinks, it's about what the travelers think that the industry is doing. So I think that this was an overwhelming situation for a lot of hoteliers that today are still not getting it right. Or they just do what is important, like what is okay to do that people are going to see, but then back in the back of the house of the engineering department, they are still burning fuel. They're still flying in salmon or caviar from around the world and put them on, on their menu. So let's be real. The hoteliers, the hospitality sustainability overwhelm is a fact. A lot of people still need guidance. But the hospitality overwhelm, it's also a status. It's what's happening today to a lot of travelers. They don't know, and they voice this discomfort in many surveys across Expedia, Booking.com, Deloitte. They don't know where to start when it comes to making sustainable travel choices. They just don't know. They are willing to take that step and to make that sustainable travel choice, particularly when it comes to food, activities, and transportation. Not even lodging, like not even hotels. They don't really look into that. And more than 74% of them will take that option, will make that decision that makes them feel they are contributing into this global conversation. Only if they know, if they're sure, if the industry is actually doing something tangible. In fact, they're quite fast at spotting fakes and the greenwashing itself. The overwhelm starts by not knowing what to do next. What do I do? Where do I go? Or do I go a long haul? Oh my God, the plane, do I get a plane? Do I go on a train? What do I do? So the overwhelm is actually not just about the travel industry, it's about what the media are now putting onto our travelers and making them feel so under pressure to take that right choice, to make that right choice. So think about social media today. Look at the images of the wildfires, of the global warming, of glacier melting, and all that, creates that big hoo-ha. Media love doing that. They love doing that. So that creates the overwhelm. So today, let's look at how do we ease travelers out of the overwhelm so that they can make better decisions, feeling more part of this conversation. When it comes to easing them out, first thing we need to do with them, we need to communicate. And these are the 3 points, it's 3 pillars of communication that in hospitality, in order for you to be successful at communicating upon sustainability, you must include them in your communication strategy. Inclusivity in purpose. When we talk about our hotels, yesterday there was a hotel manager talking about his hotel magazine. It's all about me. It's all about what happens in the hotel, the restaurants of the hotel, the entertainment of the hotel. Well, guess what? Travelers today want to know what's happening around the hotel. So give them option, tell them what's going on around the hotel, tell them how to get from this Congreso Palacio here to Plaza de España in a very sustainable way. Don't get a taxi. How can I get there sustainably? Do that. So inclusivity in purpose, clarity in communication. I was born in the hospitality as an interpreter. I was interpreting Chinese, English, and Italian. You know how much gets lost in translation? So be clear, be simple in your message so that no translation will change its significance. Authenticity in content. Be true to yourself, share facts, and be open to share the results of what you're preaching. Is it Is it sustainable travel? Does it have to be expensive? Apparently today, a lot of sustainable travel is expensive, and it comes at a cost. So how do we communicate the added value instead of the added cost of sustainability? Because sustainability today is expensive. It really goes on the hotel price, on the transportation, on the services. It affects everything. How do we communicate something of value without touching the price point at all? It's not about how much, it's about why. So we want to shift the perception of how we communicate so that our audience, before becoming our clients, they're sitting somewhere behind the screen, right? Either a phone or a computer, and they are there with us trying to push to them an information, to try to tell them to make a choice that is sustainable. Perhaps it's a green fare like Lufthansa just did a few months ago. They added a green fare to the Scandinavian routes. And you push me a choice, like you make me choose. You have to give me information about something. And then you're hoping that after I got the information and I understanding, I start to relate to it, and eventually I start to care, so that then I take that action. So this is what happens today in the general communication strategies across hospitality choices. We're pushing the information onto our audience before they become our guests. That information gets understood. Eventually, people start to relate to it, and maybe they care and they take that action. What we need to do is the opposite. We need to communicate upon something they care so that they can relate, and when they relate to it, they take action. Therefore, at that point, if you really want to, you put the price on it. And they will say, of course, because they already care. When it comes to helping children, helping the environment, you have to show you care. We are a complex society. How do we communicate upon something that we make the audience care? Back then, when I started PR and communication, I was told we need to categorize our ideal target clients: families, honeymooners, single travelers, the seniors, the youngers, and this was the categories we were applying. Today, I encourage you to look further and look into these personality pattern building blocks. Don't look at the status of your audience. It's not even your client yet, it's your audience. Don't look at the status, don't look at the gender, don't look at the age, don't look at their income, don't look at this very traditional pattern. Build a personality-based strategy. Much more complex, right? So you look into, what does your audience feel about something? What's their faith? What's their habit? How do they shop? What was their upbringing? Okay, design a personality-based pattern upon you communicate. So you're not communicating to anything and everything. You're communicating to a person that you know exactly what that person cares about. You know exactly that person upbringing, and the ability of engaging with the community, the ability of caring about what? About their politics, about social issues. Design a personality pattern instead of a typical segmentation of target client. And this is how you turn that key. Thank you. Get in touch.